at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris and Edward Jones Investments from Rufino's on Highland Road. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. I'm Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro, Jordan Kinch is back in the studio. Lots of picks coming your way. It is our Black Friday sale with gift cards here at Rufino's. We got a great lunch menu planned for you today, and if you're a Chicago Bears coach, you can come in and redeem all of your remaining timeouts for a free appetizer. So we've got a little something for everybody. Jimmy, happy Thanksgiving. How are you?
What was worse, that or he saying, no, we did fine?
Coming out and saying we did fine. That's worse.
I mean,
you were talking about doubling down on.
Wow.
That's the hill you want to die on. That you did that right.
35 seconds when he got sacked.
Yeah, Yeah.
But call your timeout, man. I mean,
can't take it with you.
Nope. And this is where, I mean, okay, you prepare. Everybody runs 2 minutes. Everybody runs hurry. All right, we got 112, one timeout. We got 114, 148, 3 timeouts. You know, and go. And you do it all the time. But what do you have to be instructed? I mean, you got one timeout. You going to burn it to avoid a delay of game. You're going to do it after a 3-yard rushing play. You're going to do it after an 18-yard pass. You're going to do it after a sack when you guys are downfield. Probably the sack is number one on the list when you hurry up.
You can't take that
in a 30, long pass play where it takes you longer to get up to spike the ball or to run a play.
To get all those receivers back, from running the routes on the previous play.
But once you get down to like 5 seconds, well, guess what? You just got to call timeout and kick a 57-yard field goal.
Okay,
I mean, you can't let it get to that point, obviously. But man, what are you? That is unbelievable. Sack, boom, timeout. 34 seconds, and then we run a play, 10 yards, and you bring on the field goal team.
Yes, you're at the 41-yard line, okay, and you got. I'm sorry, you're at the 30. Yeah, you get the 41-yard line, and you got roughly 32 seconds left when he gets off the ground. Okay, so I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get everybody back. You're trying to run a play. You want to keep your timeout so you can keep the middle of the field open. You're trying to gain enough. Yeah,
he kept it.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's when you get down to, I'm going to say somewhere around 18 seconds, maybe 16 seconds.
Yeah,
you got to call a timeout.
Yes.
And now you got to say, well, we got to get out of bounds, or we got to run the fire drill. They call it. A lot of teams call it fire field goal. Where you go out with the clock running to kick the field goal. One of the two. You got to have both of them ready. We're going to try to get out of bounds. If we don't get out of bounds, we got to rush the field goal unit out there. And that's you had multiple chances to fix this between 32 seconds and when you snap the ball with 6. I mean, it's 26 seconds.
Man.
Yeah. And you know
what?
what?
And then Williams, boy, you lose. Boy, no. I didn't care for his explanation after either. I mean, how I mean, bro, sorry. No, if we're trying to give you a pass, but that you can't. That's not football IQ, bro.
And you know what?
Your explanation, or just saying, "Oh, it's easy. Your result based because you want to criticize this." I've never seen this. I watch a lot of freaking. I've never seen them let the clock run out 30 seconds plus in long field goal range in a field goal game. And you take a timeout home. I've never seen it.
Not this.
High school, I've never seen it.
Not this. It did have some similarities to LSU Tennessee, where they're trying to get replacements on the field. No, they didn't. They were trying to make substitutions with about 15 seconds on the clock when they were in a mess and then T-Bob snapped the ball.
No, that's bad. I understand.
Yeah, that was.
They didn't have a timeout.
They didn't have a timeout. So this one is earlier in the drive. Out of the 2-minute warning, okay, they're playing 1st and 10 at the 50. He got sacked. You know how long it took him to run a play after he got sacked out of the 2-minute warning?
40 seconds.
34 seconds. So it's the exact same thing. You just watched yourself not be able to run another play for over 30 seconds.
Oh, Williams was real.
4 plays ago.
Once people got lined up, he was real slow too.
Yeah, he was trying to change a play.
He has no zero situational awareness. Yes, coming out of the 2-minute timeout, the 2-minute warning. I mean, you're drilled. There's no excuse. This is the NFL, man.
And he's a rookie quarterback, but the sideline got to bail him out when they see him trying to change. We got to call timeout. We're a mess.
Of course,
we're a mess.
No, to your point, you just saw it. I mean, he's moving slow up there. So I mean, as soon as you get to like a little danger spot, man, you got to beggars can't be choosy. Period.
And
you had your timeout, and guess what? Guess what? The ball falls. A second or two earlier, and you have like 1 or 2 seconds. You're still wasting a freaking timeout.
Yeah,
this is so stupid.
This is the biggest to me. Sometimes when you fire a coach, you go, "Well, with the circumstance or whatever." This is the easiest fire since Nathaniel Hackett in Denver. Okay, you lost this game because you didn't manage the clock. You lost the game previously to the Vikings because you played lousy special teams on what is supposed to be a fairly routine play. You lost to the Packers by a point. You lost to the Commanders because your defensive back is jawing at the stands. I mean. The whole thing speaks to the disorganization of the coach.
Special teams.
Yeah, the 1-point game, the 20-19 game 2 weeks back. All of this is on the sideline. If I'm ownership,
on the sidelines, is a missed short field goal, Charlie?
On the coach.
Field goal? How's that on the coach? Come on, Charlie. I mean, if he throws an interception there because he's trying to score a touchdown, you go, take the points.
You talking about against the Vikings?
No, against the Green Bay.
Okay.
They had the short field goal block.
Okay. You get a field goal block 2 weeks in a row. It's gonna be a little bit on the sideline, but okay, I'll give him a pass on that one.
Man, an NFL kicking game. Come on, man. I can't put that on the coach.
Okay, then 5 out of the 6 that they've lost. They're close enough to be winning these games. Some of these games with a little bit of help from the sideline.
You got 3 timeouts in the Washington game. When your defensive back is engaged with the fans, call timeout. I mean, you're the head coach. Nobody else is allowed to call a timeout but the head coach. You got to, but he's got to be. What is he doing? Taking a nap?
Yeah.
I mean, this is so you have to intervene. You override. You veto. You trump everything. Damn it. Part of your overseeing, you're letting them run the defense. You're letting your offense coordinator, 2 of them now, do it. You've got to manage the game with the timeouts, and he's just not paying attention.
6 of your 8 losses are by 1 score. At some point,
it's the NFL too.
Part of that's the NFL, but you have enough talent to be more competitive than you are, and you're in the toughest division. I get that.
Well, you want to talk about talent. This is a misconstructed team. Let's go wide receiver when nobody can block. I mean,
no argument there, but they should be better than 4-8. They should be. There's enough there to be better.
How many
than
close
4-8.
wins do they have? You just gonna count the close losses?
One by 6. They beat the Panthers by 26, and they beat the Jaguars by 20. So of their 4 wins, 2 of them were blowouts, and 2 of them were 1 score.
Yeah, they got the Panthers. The Titans gave them the game, right?
Yeah, that was in week 1.
That was a lucky win.
That was in week 1.
Yeah, that was Will Levis. I mean, tried to figure out a way to lose. I mean, that was a typical Titans game.
I'll out screw up my opposition.
Yeah. But and it kind of had a little bit of just some kind of because let's face it, Detroit. It's sort of everybody likes this new term, playing with their food. Golly, they left some points on the board.
The first half, yeah.
Oh man,
the Gibbs fumble at the 6-yard line was a killer.
The red zone inefficiency, the missed field goal, the fumble right there would have been first. I mean, what was it? It was like 225 yards to basically 5 at some point.
The Bears' first down, I think, was inside of 4 minutes and a half. Their first down was, it was inside of a minute.
How many yards rushing did Detroit have?
For the day, Detroit finished with 194 on the ground. Montgomery and Gibbs basically had the same amount of yardage Although Gibbs did it on half as many carries, but he had the big.
It's your best unit. That's your best unit, and it's not Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow or Josh. Man, it's the Detroit offensive line. They're so superior to everybody. It's almost like watching a college game back when Nebraska would just hand the ball off. I know the offensive coordinator gets a lot of run. Who can't call plays for that team? I mean, hand the ball off. And then you pick your spots. Well, let's see. We are 11-1, 10-1, or 11-1 now.
11-1.
11-1. When Jared Goff throws over 30 times a game, we lose. Okay. We just hand the ball off more.
And he was a little bit off yesterday. He had 6 incompletions.
He's hit about 3 or 4 games, Charlie.
There's been 2 games where he's gone one an entire half and one an entire game without an incompletion.
The Colts game, he was not right. They should have blasted them, much worse. So and I look at the final box, he's like 16-26, and I'm like, man, he looked like he missed more passes than that. The 5 interception game of obvious, but he's been a little bit off, and he'll be right, but they don't ask him to do. He doesn't have to carry that team. I mean, that offensive line is something else.
Cowboys win for the first time at home in a year, basically a calendar year against the Giants.
So do you think Detroit was the right side in game 1, minus the points?
Yeah.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
You think? I think the same thing with the Giants-Dallas game. They can't overcome when they just ran the ball, they went right down their throats, 7-3, and then it's the pick 6. They can't overcome that. And we got a new one, Charlie. Move over, Jonas Williams. Got a new one.
Yeah.
Oh, highly drafted lineman out of Alabama. Can't play at all.
Evan Neal.
Oh, he is atrocious.
Yeah.
He was like top 5 pick.
He was in the top 10. I don't remember exactly what, but he was,
top 10. Man.
Top 10 pick.
He sucks, man.
He's
terrible.
That was a mess. And by the way, I want anybody in the Giants organization to tell me with a straight face that Tommy DeVito is better than Drew Lock, because I will be happy to call them.
Lock hung in there, to get the tip to pick 6, but
it's not like he's a Hall of Fame or anything, but compared to DeVito, he's significantly better.
And
we've seen it enough, right? This is not a
not
surprise.
even close. Yeah. Not even close.
And Tua's still got small hands in cold weather.
Max, I was trying to tell Max the other day, don't overcomplicate this thing. I mean, here's another one. Look at his box score.
Tua?
Throw the box score away in a route.
Yeah.
His box score's fine.
Yeah,
his box score looks good, huh?
Fantasy football.
What'd your eyeballs tell you last night?
That they got routed.
And he did not play well.
No.
They
got routed, and I thought Green Bay muscled them. The Miami linebacker, I forgot his name, said, we played soft.
Really? So this organization, why'd Flores leave? Because he was
mean.
Yeah, he's mean. There you go. Fangio. Why'd they run him off? He was mean too.
Also mean.
Also mean. Okay. How's he doing in Philadelphia?
They're a lot tougher in Philadelphia.
Oh, really?
They're a lot tougher.
So when they were trying to get back in the game, they needed a foot, and they can't get it because they're not tough physically or mentally. But you know what they do? They'll run it up on the crappy teams. Don't they?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
They whooped New England, huh?
No, they ain't. They
beat the Raiders bad.
Beat the Raiders.
Yeah.
Sure. That one was easy. I thought.
I mean, you get what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was very easy.
Just to prove to you that I'm not a genius, for some reason, I decided to go with Tulane last night. If I'd have had 2 more minutes of sense, I would have known better than to lay those kind of points.
To
lay those kind of points, I thought was the more I thought about it, I'm like, man, I should have rethought that. Tulane's already got everything locked up. To lay 2 touchdowns to a 9-2 Memphis team was a mistake. So I wasn't far from perfect yesterday myself.
Man, they
got the ones that counted.
I got to rethink me saying that's the best defense, best complete team. They did not play a lick of defense last night.
Mm-hmm. No, from the very first drive, Memphis hit a couple of long balls on them.
Live over here at Rufino's today, Black Friday special again. Our gift card special. Come on by and check that out. And We're open, and we got to set up with a table. You in and out parking is easy, so this is as easy Black Friday shopping convenient as they get. You're in and out in a couple of minutes, not like down the street at the coffee house. So anyway, the oysters over here, the crispy fried oysters with the blue cheese, bechamel, crunchy garlic, and pickled celery. Beef carpaccio, the micro arugula, crispy capers, pickled mustard seeds, citrus, and horseradish aioli. Our entree features today the Ora King salmon, honey miso glazed king salmon, pear couscous, citrus, and dill creme fraiche. And the suggested wine pairing is a Frank Family Chardonnay out of Napa. And the veal chop, veal chop with Italian salsa verde, mashed potatoes with a veal reduction sauce. Suggested wine pairing is a Turnbull Cabernet Sauvignon out of Napa as well. Our Yule Old Fashioned is still our beverage cocktail as we get at the Affogato. What is this one too, Charlie? The Affogato cocktail, which is Florida Cana 18, Di Serrano Velvet. Okay, I guess that's the Amaretto Di Serrano Velvet. Luxardo Cherry Liqueur, Espresso Vanilla Ice Cream, Almond Beer Brittle Lake Chip.
I'll try it and
that
get
sounds
back
like
to you.
a big dessert cocktail. That's a. I'm intrigued.
Can we have that
Yes,
in
sir, I
the
am
second
intrigued.
hour today? Because
We got football, get action,
yeah,
baby.
man, we're the only ones on the air today, so we'll try that in hour number 2. All right, picks coming your way. Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments from Rufino's 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
To San Diego, Chris Massaro, professional sports bettor, with us right now. Chris, how you doing, man? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Jimmy. How you doing?
Doing great, man. How did the games treat you yesterday?
You know what? I wasn't really too involved in the NFL games. Playing a little bit of college basketball earlier. Those games on Thanksgiving, it always seems like, even though in the early game Chicago made a little bit of a comeback, it seems like those favorites just seem to always come home in the NFL games. And I'm not a favorite guy, and maybe I should change my tune. But I'm too busy I'm too busy cooking and getting the food ready for everyone else. So I didn't really play too much of the NFL. Like I said, I had a couple college basketball winners, but I was more dialed into the games today and tomorrow. There's some really great rivalry games, and I'm excited about how this whole thing for the playoffs is going to play out because we still have a lot of different moving pieces, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be pretty exciting.
All right, let's get right to your picks, and let's start rivalry weekend and a team with a lot to play for, a lot of pressure. They benefited greatly from the carnage in the SEC last week. That's the Tennessee Volunteers going to Nashville. This probably be split 50-50. Usually it's more Volunteer fans, but Vandy at home has been tough this year. Vandy catching 10.5.
Well, you guys are down south, so you probably know if it's going to be 50-50 or not. But I feel like this Vanderbilt team, and I've been riding them all year. As you guys know on the show, I picked them. I had them last week, and they hung on to cover the 10 or whatever number you might have had, 8.5 to 9 to 10. But again, 6-1 against the spread in SEC play. How do you go against Diego Pavia? They're going up against a team that has a gaudy points per game number, 37.4, Tennessee. But if you look closer, they're only averaging 24.1 in SEC play.
Right,
and in a huge rivalry game, and as a team, as we mentioned before, Vanderbilt, that likes to hike the ball with about 1 or 2 seconds on the play clock and grinds out a running style game with a running quarterback, how this team is getting 10.5 again at home. I had to double check. I thought this game was at Tennessee when the spread came out. I just don't see it. I'm just going to keep riding with Vanderbilt. They keep getting the covers, and could you not see this game tomorrow with Diego Pavia getting held up or holding him up and knocking their rival out of the playoff? I could definitely see Vanderbilt. I'm going to definitely have a little bit on the money line, but I'm 100%. It's one of the first bets I made this week at plus 11. I think we're at plus 10.5 now. I'm rolling with Vandy again.
All right, Vandy playing spoiler against Tennessee, plus 10.5 there. Let's move on. And, a banged-up quarterback room for the Pitt Panthers. They take on BC. BC rated, 4.5-point favorites here.
Yeah, two teams going in complete opposite directions. Pitt has dropped 4 in a row. Yeah, Eli Holstein is doubtful. We can't get any information. I was just trying to look this morning to get confirmation that he's 100% out. I assume he's out. I mean, they carted him off in an air cast at his leg. It looked like his career was over. Then Narduzzi said it's not season-ending. I'm not sure what type of season they're planning on playing in, but, I mean, when you put an air cast on, it's usually not a bounce-back injury. Enter Nate Yarnell, very inaccurate passer, only 7 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. He got a start earlier this year. But, again, BC has just totally changed ever since they switched quarterbacks to Grayson James. We had them a couple weeks ago against SMU. He came in late in the Syracuse game, and since then he's 41 of 65, 480 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception. But the key part to him is that he's able to make a forward pass as Thomas Castellanos wasn't. He was all just run and crazy, makeshift passes. This Grayson James can drop back and pass, which has totally changed what BC wants to do, which is run the ball. 2 weeks ago against SMU, 180 yards on the ground. Last week versus UNC, 228 yards on the ground. They put the nail in Mac Brown's coffin as he was fired after that game. And Kyle Robichaux, their number 1 back, 7 touchdowns the last 5 games, 2 last week. 2 teams going in opposite directions. I think BC could actually get this game into double digits, run up the score if they're moving the offensive line like they like to. I think BC's going to have a big game on the ground, and I don't think Pitt's going to be able to come back with like you said, their quarterback situation, which is extremely banged up.
BC, much closer than that final score indicated. SMU scoring, about 25, 30 seconds to go on 4th down.
BC was in a 3-point game. I don't know if you watched the selection show the other night. These guys are talking about SMU. They're the scariest team out there. I go, well, if they're the scariest team out there, I mean, Boston College must be a world beater because BC, with their quarterback's first true start, he had one where he had 2 days to prepare earlier in the season when Castellanos had the concussion. But, I mean, BC was neck and neck with SMU. And I'm telling you, some of these guys, I'm not sure if the commentators or the committee actually watch these games because I swear to God, I don't think they do. How do they have Clemson in the mix is beyond me.
I'm telling you, check out the best wins for the teams that are projected in the tournament right now. I mean, all due respect to our friends in Vegas, too. UNLV, really? Even Boise State as well. I mean, nobody's got good wins. I mean, it is unbelievable.
Our problem is the runs keep just screwing up, and Bama keeps screwing up. So, I mean, we want these SEC teams in because you think they're better, but who knows because they keep losing.
No, they do. They do keep losing, but, I mean, I'm just it does nothing to motivate tougher non-conference schedules. It does nothing. True. So that's my biggest problem. All right, let's go to Syracuse. In the Syracuse Orange, the catching 11 here in this spot, Chris, against Miami. Syracuse, this one's probably got a shootout written all over it. Miami, we know about the shootouts they've been in. Syracuse, kind of the same. McCord has put up a lot of numbers. They don't have any defense.
Yeah, 2 teams that struggle on defense. But look at this Syracuse team, and I've watched them a lot. I had them. I had Cal against them a couple of weeks ago, and McCord came out and was throwing NFL passes, back shoulder throws. He's got 4 receivers: Arondé Gatson the second, Trevor Pena, Darrell Gill Jr., Jackson Meeks. All these guys have had 100-yard reception games. Gadsden's had 5. Meeks has had 4. Last week, out of nowhere, Darrell Gill Jr., 9 for 177. Trevor Pena had 73, leads the team with 73 catches. This is just an offensive juggernaut. And you're getting a Miami defense coming into play then, as we've seen all year, because everyone's watched all the Miami games, that they can't stop anyone. I think this has the writings of that type of game where Miami went into Louisville and was just back and forth and no one could stop anyone. Miami has the number 1 offense in the country, 44.7 points a game versus the 88th ranked defense. They have a 3-headed monster in the backfield with Jordan Lyle, Damian Martinez, and Mark Fletcher Jr., his 2 top receivers, Jacoby George and the tight end Elijah Arroyo. I could just see this being a complete shooter. And another interesting point is this is Cam Ward's first game indoors. I mean, it just has track meet written all over it. But I think the 11 points is enough to hang at home, especially at home, because this has a the Miami coach there. I can't even Cristobal. I mean, you can just see this has the writings of a complete choke job written all over it. I mean, do they go from the number 3 seed to totally out of the playoffs? 11 points. I had to take this. This was another one of my first bets of the week, and the over 67 or 67.5. I mean, I could see a 45-44 type of game. I mean, this just has track meet written all over it.
All right, now let's get to LSU. First trip ever for the Oklahoma Sooners into Death Valley and Tiger Stadium tomorrow. This opened up around 4. It's been bet to 6 right now.
Well, I usually have a bunch of stats for the games, but I've been on this show all year, and I've yet to take LSU, so I figured I'm going to take LSU on Thanksgiving weekend. Seriously, though, I mean, after last week, I mean, I think they're still on the field at Norman celebrating the Alabama win. It's just such a tough spot for Oklahoma. They've only had it's weird. They've only had 3 road games all year. This is only their 4th road game. They won at Auburn in a weird game earlier in the season. A loss at Ole Miss. A loss at Missouri. Oklahoma D has been playing pretty great, but I think it's just such a tough spot to go into LSU at night. I feel like Brian Kelly's going to have them ready. You don't want to lose that last home game after kind of a tough season, and the money's going in the right direction. So let's just follow the money here. Let's take LSU. We'll lay the points as my only favorite of the week.
All right, up to 6 points right now. So,
Jimmy, did you have some turkey for breakfast? You don't sound like your usual self today. A little tired, buddy.
He missed his coffee this morning. The line was too long, so he's a little off kilter.
I stood in line for 30 minutes and still had to walk out because they didn't have it ready yet.
I'm gonna buy him a coffee pot for Christmas.
Yeah.
Make it at home.
You can tell, huh, Chris? Huh?
Yeah, Jimmy, you're not as peppy as usual. You're usually firing back at me.
I think he almost said cranky.
That comes with an age connotation, Charlie. Chris is polite, all right? He's not going to call me cranky. Chris, happy Thanksgiving, brother. Good luck to you. Yes, I'm low on caffeine today. Good luck.
All right. Well, have a great day, guys. Let's find some winners, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, yes, indeed. Chris Massero from San Diego with his 5-pack each and every week as part of Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tech Sports and Edward Jones Investments. Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Legacy Title with our great team at Legacy Title, Ashley Donald, Mariana Haynes, Adrian Collada, Michael Platt, and Chad Reynolds all want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving, happy Black Friday. Hope you're celebrating with the family and having a good time standing in a coffee line. 296-0060, Chad Reynolds in Legacy Title.
Colorado and Boise State out to early leads in the early games, and the Bears have fired Matt Eberflus. We'll be back Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris and Edward Jones Investments on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Boise State up 7-0 on Oregon State and threatening down inside the 20-yard line of the Beavers. Colorado up 14-0 on Oklahoma State late in the first quarter. Minnesota and Wisconsin are scoreless, but Minnesota is threatening. They're down to Wisconsin 1-yard line. And Navy and East Carolina are still scoreless, despite the fact that East Carolina has been inside the 10-yard line twice and had no points.
No Horvath. So
yeah, right.
I mean, he did when he got knocked out against Tulane. They didn't score a point. And so, and that's the thing. Your biggest Tulane angle that was a misleading score. That was not the typical Navy team they went against.
Right.
I mean, everything is off of Horvath, and so Navy dodging a couple of bullets early. Yes, 2 possessions inside the 10 and 0 points. So, Eberflus fired as you teased going into that.
Yeah.
Though no shocker here, should be. This is again. You gotta butt in at some point and go try. When your defensive back is engaged with the fans in Washington, you use one of your 3 timeouts that you have right there, and Wait, this guy, they sent him home and said, well, here's your box of timeouts that you saved all year.
Yeah.
This
is leave you in Detroit fireable offense. The only surprising thing is that, and I wasn't aware of this, but the stat came over, 100 years of Bears football, they've never fired a head coach in season.
Remember Buddy Kicks, who's a general manager over at in marketing up in
Natchez.
In Natchez, and while he was living in Natchez, he's back in Chicago, obviously, but season ticket holder. He's always told me, no, Malleys don't do that. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, you have to really do something egregiously wrong, and more than once.
So this is the second team this year that fired a coordinator, then a head coach.
The Jets fired a coordinator before they.
So Aaron Rodgers in the tail end of his career, Caleb Williams in the front. Caleb Williams got a little responsibility on this deal too.
A little bit.
He compounded it.
Yeah.
Him checking off or taking his time. I mean, I would think he's a rookie, understand, but don't double down also after. And so, both these guys getting a lot of people fired.
Yeah. Look, you can't. You're not going to fire Caleb Williams. I mean, this was pretty easy. He's got a ways to go. But I don't look at him as a guy that's necessarily struggling because he doesn't have the talent or he doesn't have the work ethic or anything like that. It's an unbalanced team.
Oh, man, you saw when they got rolling. I mean, Detroit couldn't stop them. I mean, when they got going, it took them a while. They was like 3 and out. He's got weapons. He doesn't have a whole lot of protection. I mean, he's an incomplete. I think he's going to have a long career as an NFL. I think he's an NFL starting quarterback. I think he's elusive enough and combines at times. He's got an arm, but some of these things, just I'm wondering if there's a ceiling with maybe his IQ and his. Because that was poor, even for a rookie. He started every game, Charlie. This is game 12.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to let the clock roll down. I mean, he's had plenty of starts in college, too. That's tremendously low.
Yeah, it was like 38, I think,
tremendously low football IQ that you've practiced hurry-ups all the time, sitting on a timeout.
Let me ask you this. You watched the Packers last night. The Packers are 9-3. The Bears are 4-8. Do you think there's that much difference in the talent level on those two teams?
At the line of scrimmage, absolutely. They're so bad on the offensive line.
I
think LaFleur's good. We didn't know. He was. I thought at the first. I said, "Man, he's turning Aaron Rodgers into a game manager. He won't let it rip." No, he's good.
It's a lot easier to place some of that retroactive blame on Rodgers and not LaFleur. I just don't know that there's 5 games of difference between these two teams.
But this is what happens when you lose the tight games. I mean, your season.
That's what I'm getting to.
Teams that aren't strong organizations, they should continue to. Now, the other one is you want to talk about all the close games, and you're probably going to fire. And we've been calling this for years. It's overdue. But when you go to the Super Bowl, you can't fire the coach. But your boy at Cincinnati's going to be gone. It's going to be very difficult for the Bengals. And for that team, with that offense, and then they poorly constructed. I mean, they don't have any running game. It's just been Band-Aid after Band-Aid on the offensive line. You say they tried. Okay, they tried, but they're not doing it, not getting it done. And the defense, Taylor's getting fired. I think
they've lost enough one-score games too. When you lose the one-score games, a lot of them, to me, it means listen. You got enough talent to compete. This is when it gets to the little things. I can't tell you chapter and verse why the Bengals have lost every one of those one-score games, or the Bears. But I know when it happens that often that it's probably not because you were outmatched. Overmatched, You watch some of these teams in the league. Some of the games Carolina was playing earlier in the season, they looked overmatched. Now they're getting better, but early in the season they looked overmatched. Okay, I don't see where the Bears are overmatched in a lot of these games. I mean, Detroit's the best team in the league, right? And that's in the almost said the Silverdome. It's in Ford Field. And you play as crappy a first half.
It could have been a blowout.
It could have been.
It was
but
very close.
But it wasn't.
It was very close to being a blowout. But you think a blowout because it was the grittiness of the Bears defense, or the Detroit just.
Well, as Jahmyr Gibbs,
a little sloppy.
Jahmyr Gibbs' fumble was a pop.
Paul Stone was pretty good last week, undefeated. last week. A perfect week. You can catch all of his picks on the Sports Better's Paradise YouTube channel or wherever you find your podcast. Paul Stone talking about the Battle of Kentucky hosting Louisville at Commonwealth Stadium right now. You could go to find all of Paul's picks this week. He's got best bets, and he's got the high-profile games. That's at the Sports Better's Paradise YouTube channel or wherever you find your podcast. Don't forget our friends at Total Maintenance, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies since 1980. My man, Lucas Ragusa, over at Total Maintenance, AC heating, generator installations, maintenance. Service today, every day means same-day service. You will not sleep hot when you call over at Total Maintenance. Call today, get service today. Factory authorized dealer for Carrier, American Standard, Dakin, and Rheem products, and very smart to get on their membership programs. We got too many things to keep track of. You can't keep track of it. It's time to get your unit service. So going to lower your monthly bills and also extend the lifetime of your unit as well. Total Maintenance in the Baton Rouge area, 480-1000, 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
Live at Rufino's Log of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy, when we put the ribbon on the regular season at the end of this week, we look back over the whole season. Most disappointing team in college football. I'll give you some choices here. Utah was preseason number 8 in the country. Had a quarterback problem, Rising never could quite get there.
Yeah,
so it's sort of a built-in excuse.
Yeah,
number 9, Michigan was overrated. The national championship hangover, whatever.
One of our first unders, though. I mean, record amount of guys drafted, national championship hangover, lose your head coach, and you think Harbaugh took the weak assistants with him?
No, he did not. In fact, his DC at San Diego with the Chargers is likely to get an NFL job, head coaching job next year. All right, so those two were discouraging, but sort of we could kind of see it coming. The two candidates for most disappointing season, Oklahoma State, who was preseason 15 by Phil Steele and was picked second in the Big 12, tied for second in the Big 12.
No, they're right here, 60 points behind. Utah had 21st place votes. Kansas State, this is the media, the Big 12 media.
Okay, I'm giving you
Kansas State was second with 19 first place votes. Oklahoma State, 14 first place votes. Third, so
Steele had them tied for second, and you got them third from the media there. So pretty much, and they're down 21-0 in the first quarter.
Oh well,
at Colorado.
They're 0-8 in the league, so they'll be 0-9 after today.
Correct.
0-9, 1-8 against the spread.
Can I get under that? Can I get worse than that? I'm gonna try. Florida State.
You might want to put this one up with don't expect Patrick Mahomes to match Alex Smith's production in his first year. Okay,
yeah.
I'll do this one. This is now. I liked when they went to overseas. They played Georgia Tech. I said, "Look, I'm taking Georgia Tech," and I said, "Listen, they had a lot of hits in the transfer portal." And that's just a high percentage to try and duplicate. That's not realistic. But they'll be better off than what Michigan State was following theirs. Are they worse than that Michigan State team? I think they are.
Yeah.
The one win was Cal that they should have lost.
They should have lost that one, and they beat Charleston Southern, who's not just a rental win. They're a bad rental win. I think they finished 1-11.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not just playing a bad, a rental win. You're playing an awful team.
But I feel sorry for him because I think this had some negative momentum. Wait a minute. I'm not going to play for you, Coach. I mean, y'all went undefeated, not even in the playoff. I think it's had them kind of getting that raw deal has hurt his ability. I mean, he's a transfer portal guy. He's going to do it year to year, and it hurt him. I mean, obviously they could. And then DJU. I mean, well, you get what you get. You had enough film on him. You had enough film on him to know that he's not that good. But Oklahoma State, if there was ever a given, the whole offensive line, tackle to tackle, is back. Ollie Gordon comes back. And the only sign we had there was that damn press conference.
Boy, I tell you what, he
damn press conference
saw it coming. Mm-hmm. He tried to warn them. He even went public. It's one thing for you to say that behind closed doors in your locker room. He went public with it, like, guys, put the NIL stuff away. We got a season to focus on. We hadn't won a thing yet, and he was right. So was he right?
To your point, Oklahoma State picked hard, but it was a close third. I mean, it's really, Okie State and Kansas State. Utah. Oklahoma State finished second or third. I mean, picked to finish second. They're last, and Utah picked to win it. They're second to last.
At least
in a 16-team league.
At least with Utah, you can say, listen, they've been waiting on Cam Rising for, it feels like 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. So they had a sort of a built-in excuse. Oklahoma State has nothing built in there. All right, we will take a break, come back, and Bruce Marshall joins us when we return. We'll get you up to date on all the games that are in progress right now. Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investment from Rufino's 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Favorite rolling early. Boise State 14-0 on Oregon State. Colorado 21-0 on Oklahoma State. Minnesota 7-0 on Wisconsin, and East Carolina finally made a field goal 3-0 on Navy.
Minnesota knocking on the door again inside the 10-yard line. It'll be a 2nd and 5 from the Wisconsin 7. So the one thing there was I was wondering how Minnesota would respond to that tight, tough loss against Penn State. I mean, a 50-50 game. They could have easily won, but they didn't. But, one of our producers, too, a Minnesota alum, Alex, boy, he's like, oh, typical PJ. I'm like, bro, you need to stay in your lane. Huh?
That defense has been stout today. Wisconsin's got 30 yards of total offense in 20 minutes of play here. So they have they bottled up the run game for Wisconsin.
Minnesota's better. The situation, I just wondered as they complete the touchdown. Yeah. So 13-0 waiting on the extra point. Let's go out to Las Vegas. Bruce Marshall. Happy Thanksgiving, Bruce. How you doing, buddy?
Happy Thanksgiving, boys. It's a busy week. I just got offered the Temple job, by the way, but they were going to pay me in Phillies tickets, so I decided to decline it. And, by the way, all 4 Owls teams fired their coaches, Rice, Florida Atlantic, Kennesaw, and Temple. So
only you would know that, Bruce. Only you would know that.
To take a job with a team called the Owls.
Is that why the McCaskies are held in a press conference trying to petition the league to rename their team the Owls?
The Owls,
the Chicago Owls.
And take the Bear job, Bruce. It pays better.
Well, you know what? So. Bro, if you take the Temple job, though, and boy, you love going watch teams and with no fans, huh? Games with no fans. I mean, but you can always get Philadelphia 76ers sweet tickets, huh? They're.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing. By the way, speaking of no fans, I went to a game the other night here in Henderson. I can walk to the little arena here. Long Beach and San Jose were playing UTEP and UNC Greensboro. There were probably 20 people in the crowd, and I'm serious. And I was one of them, though. But I don't like people that much, so actually I don't mind going to games where nobody else is there.
Well, have you convinced your grandchildren that Stanford is not a real team you really want to pull for, huh?
I know. I got a lot of work in front of me on that.
Hey, but what, a couple of the tournament, and I talked to my friend over at the MGM Garden, Ron, and he told me it's going to be bigger and better next year. Now, those were, you look like he had some maneuverable seats. It wasn't like the T-Mobile game with Duke and Kansas, but they're expecting to make it even bigger the next year and with multiple venues. But, man, they had some great ones. And, man, who thought that the Iron Bowl, the Iron Bowl is a basketball series now. That's where the real teams are these days.
Well, the interesting thing about that tournament, the MGM Grand, it was all tied to nil, and it's a different sort of a structure for the whole thing. And that sort of that could become maybe the big holiday event. Already Baylor has pulled out either, I think, next year of Maui to play in this tournament. The players are in Las Vegas because of the nil thing. So some of these other tournaments might, have to follow suit with what they're doing in this one at the MGM Grand. Just the whole payout structure is different for the schools and the nil getting involved and all that. Interesting stuff.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right, Brucey. Well, rivalry week. It's kind of a chalk start to it, but I don't know how many of these are the true rivalries. Who are we looking at? Who's on your list today?
Boy, there's, today, it's a lot of dogs I'm looking at. I think a lot of these favorites are vulnerable, and that's just been the course of this season. That's been the pattern, including Georgia here today. Now, will they lose this game? I don't think so to Georgia Tech. Haynes King has come back, but he's kind of been splitting time with Philo, the freshman who's improved at quarterback. But I think it's worth noting that when Brent Key, who has been a very good underdog coach since he took over a month into the season 2 years ago from Jeff Collins, those games he lost to Notre Dame and Georgia Tech, King was not there. He had some Notre Dame and Virginia Tech. King was out. He had some issues at quarterback. But they seem to have straightened things out. They beat Miami a couple of weeks ago, and you're getting nearly 3 touchdowns here. He has covered the last 2 years against Kirby. I would point out Georgia has not been a great point spread team this year. 2-8. Last year, not a lot better. 8-16-1 since last year. They couldn't get over the hump against UMass last week. It's not the same Georgia this year. They're in the defense. UMass was moving the football pretty well against them last week. I think Georgia Tech probably hangs in there. That's probably my favorite game today. Tomorrow there's a few of interest. This one's not a high-profile game. These teams are both bowl eligible, so we'll see them in minor bowl action somewhere later in December. Boston College hosts Pitt tomorrow. Pitt's season has really unraveled. 4 straight losses. I don't think they were ever as good as that 7-0. They won a couple of games right at the end with Holstein, the quarterback, making big plays. He is hurting now. He may not play tomorrow. The backup, Yarnell, there's a big drop-off to him. And Pitt, that was just an abject capitulation last week against Louisville. This looks like a dead team. Meanwhile, BC is closing the season fast. They've made a switch at quarterback to the FIU transfer, Grayson James, and he's actually given them a little bit more in the aerial game than Castellanos was giving them. Castellanos left the program, but this team can really run the football, too, so they're a little bit better balanced. They've played 3 really good games in a row, beat Syracuse, wiped out North Carolina, and almost beat SMU in that stretch there. So it's a short price tomorrow up at Chestnut Hill. I will lay it with BC. Speaking of North Carolina, interesting dynamics, that game tomorrow, the Tobacco Road Battle versus NC State. Mac Brown news this week. They're going to let him coach the game tomorrow. We'll see about a bowl game. That was an interesting bit of dynamics there because from what I heard, they were trying to ease Mac out, working on a buyout that might, make it so they don't have to embarrass him and fire him, work out something with his buyout. And I guess Mac said, no, if you don't want me, you got to fire me. And that's what Bubba Cunningham did. It's an interesting job. We'll see what happens there. But do the Tar Heels rally for Mac? And normally you might think so, except in a rivalry game like this, NC State's already really going to be primed for this one. They needed to get bowl eligible. Probably, and they could have beat Georgia Tech last week. They haven't played that bad the second half of the season since Bailey, the freshman quarterback, has taken over, and he's given them a spark. He's a real dual threat. And North Carolina, that was abysmal last week, but they have only covered 2 of their last 15 games against FBS-level teams. Mac Brown, swan song or not, I'm going to take NC State tomorrow in Chapel Hill.
I'm hearing a little bit of that. Do you think, Charlie, that he was wronged about getting fired?
No, I don't. If you take out his record is okay, but if you take out the rental wins and stuff like that, I was listening to Chuck Oliver and those guys the other night. Basically, it's about a 500 record again in the games that matter.
No,
okay,
well,
for
this
him.
year too. Schedule. I know we've already, Ole Miss and Alabama got to win at some point. I get it, but the schedule. And this team had one of the weakest schedules in the ACC. Bruce, no Clemson. No Notre Dame, no Miami, no SMU. They played nobody, and they get to play Florida State, in this year.
Right.
So
you're right, Jimmy. And even though this got a little awkward there at the end, And I think Bubba Cunningham, the AD sort of got caught in a contract thing here. But this thing with Mac, you remember when they hired him before 2019, the thought was this doesn't go more than 5 years. They'll identify a successor, and then they can make a nice transition. But Mac was sort of acting a little bit Bobby Bowden-ish, Joe Paterno-ish there, and just wasn't going to leave. And this is time for North Carolina to make a move. It got awkward there at the end. But I think they're justified looking at different directions.
You think Mac Brown told him, "Don't call me cranky"? Huh, Charlie?
he might
Mac Brown didn't have his coffee.
He might have. But, Bruce is right about this is one of those series where Little Brother has actually done really well. NC State usually plays aggravated. They've won 6 out of 8 in this series, which surprised me when I looked it up.
NC State had that game on was it Thursday or Friday night against Georgia Tech. I mean, they looked pretty good.
Yes.
The problem, the quarterback, he threw 3 picks. He can be a little feast or famine, but he's given them a chance. You know, I mean, they shot themselves. I mean, they gave that game away. So I'm on NC State as well, Brucey. How about the group of 5, the smaller conference picks?
Well, here's one tomorrow. Interesting. Now, Texas San Antonio is playing Army. Mm-hmm. Army has got the American title game already on deck, and then they got Navy coming up after that. So and then they had Notre Dame last week. So this is sort of the sandwich game in the middle. And they're not getting a week off here at the end of the season either. So this is sort of a demanding stretch late season for Army. I would say this about Texas San Antonio and Jeff Traylor, the head coach. I think he's proven himself this year to be really, really a quality coach. Now, a few years ago when UTSA really started to emerge with Traylor, he was starting to get some interest from other schools. But he told his agent, "You make a deal for me. I don't want to leave here. I'm from here. I can live like a king in San Antonio on $2.53 million a year. You sign me the longest deal you can sign me to." He signed a 10-year deal because he doesn't want to leave because he wants to live there. I mean, you know, his family likes it. His wife likes it there, and he's sort of the king in San Antonio. And darn if they haven't started. They started it kind of slow this year, but they're playing very well lately. And McCown, the quarterback, Josh's son, has put up some really nice numbers. This team's been scoring in the 40s every week since mid-season. They did blow that game at Tulsa, but they've been really hot since. And I'd point out they have played Army before Army joined the American the last 2 years, so they've seen Army before. Army was running something a little different last year with the pistol, but they saw the option 2 years ago. And I just think this is a flat spot for Army. So
let me give you.
I'm going to take.
Texas San Antonio.
TSA in this one. And, one other one in the group of 5. Arkansas State has not lost at home this year. And we don't talk about Butch Jones too much, but they're going to show up at one of these bowls, GoDaddy or one of these very minor bowls. So good for them. Old Dominion, you talk about blowing a game. They blew one last week against Marshall. This is not a bad team, but they've had a lot of disappointments this year. They're going to miss out on a bowl. They're favored into Jonesboro tomorrow. I might, Ark State's been able to handle some of these, mid-level Sun Belt teams. I'm going to give Butch a shot tomorrow against ODU.
No, this was supposed to be a pretty good year for Arkansas State, and we don't follow the Sun Belt recruitings very closely. But for the, doing a little research for their preview, I mean, they've been putting together some really good classes, and they had a true dual threat who had a year of experience coming back as a second-year starter. We had him last week against UL Monroe, and, so Paul Stone's back on him this week as well, just like you, Bruce. So, yeah, Arkansas State worth a look-see there.
Let me add something on your UTSA bet, Bruce, because this is one of my picks, too. We got this one from Tim Murray. Coming off of playing Notre Dame, teams are 0-9-1 against the number. Remember those?
They play that style.
Yeah, remember those games where you said LSU and Alabama the week after you played them, and the quarterback for Army, Brian, was in that game all the way to the end. He carried the ball 39 times, even in the blowout. Man, he took a beating last week. I know he's a tough kid, but UTSA is one of my picks too, Bruce.
Yeah, I agree with it, and that's a good point about Notre Dame. And Murray's always looking to say something good about Notre Dame. So,
oh no, we know him well. He's a kiss ass.
That's why I put
no.
the disclaimer in there.
Trust
Bruce.
me, every chance I get, I needle him about Notre Dame, of course. But it's pretty hard though, Bruce.
He's on his way to L.A. to the Coliseum this week. But those are very good points, though. But I mean, Army. We talk about Army being so tough. I know Army's kind of special, but they're still players. And the schedule thing at the end of the year, you got Notre Dame, and then the conference championship game and Navy coming up, and this is the one stuck right in the middle. If you believe in the sandwich sort of theory, I mean, this is a spot.
Now they do have home field on the line here with Tulane's loss last night, right? They win this game. The American championship game would be at West Point, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, you're telling me that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They're also looking ahead to Navy as well. So but let me ask you this, Bruce. I know you love try and put your emotional attachment as much as Tim Murray likes Notre Dame. I would say you love USC. But anyway, just put that aside for a second. And can we play the angle that USC is like Kansas in the fact that in their losses, they've had the lead in the fourth quarter as much? I mean, we know the Michigan, they blew that one late. At Minnesota, we know that one. They had a double-digit lead against Penn State. Maryland as well, double digits in the fourth quarter. I mean, can we play that angle as well?
You could, although, I mean, they just seem like they play everybody sort of close, and except Penn State, and they could have lost that game to UCLA last week, too. Nebraska could have got them 2 weeks ago. The Penn State game was a really good effort, but really, except Penn State, I saw that game in person. I mean, most of these teams they're playing this year, I mean, their Big Ten schedule wasn't all that hard, and they missed Oregon, they missed Ohio State. Listen, if they lost to UCLA last week and they get beaten by Notre Dame and they ended up 5-7, I think Lincoln Riley might really have been in trouble. They've got a new AD in there who came down from Washington. It's not the one who hired him. They just lost their top recruit for next year to Colorado, Julian Lewis, the quarterback. That did not sit too well with the SC alums. Now, they did sort of replace him with another kid they just signed out of Centennial and Riverside, but still, the star is off Lincoln Riley at SC. So, you could make that case. My case is I think Notre Dame's just a lot better than them, and they maul you. That defense is real. Maeva doesn't look all that comfortable at quarterback. I'll be with Tim Murray tomorrow. Not there, but I'll be picking Notre Dame with him. I would lay the points with the Irish.
I got you. And Brucey, early on, give us your biggest takeaway from the college basketball.
The title might run through Alabama. If Auburn
North or
looks
South?
like a final. Yeah, I mean, what if Alabama played Arkansas for the Alabama played Auburn for the NCAA title? I don't think that's out of the question. Auburn looks that good. By the way, Connecticut, I saw this early with Connecticut. I know they ended up losing all three in Maui. Without Klingon, they are nowhere near the same team they were last year. There is no chance they're going to three-peat, and they're going to go from being ranked number 2 to out of the rankings next week.
Hurley's taking it real well, too.
Oh, he's tough to pull for. Well, man, I've been popping him every time on that. I've been fed that UConn fade is real. I mean, so
I just didn't think Dayton would beat him that bad.
Charlie, no, not that bad. But Dayton lost 2 heartbreakers, man, to better teams.
No, I liked them with the points, but I just that game got away from UConn
I could see Dayton winning, but Dayton winning by that was it 15-18?
18, I think it was.
Yeah. Brucey, happy Thanksgiving. Again, give those kids some oyster dressing, get them out of Palo Alto, okay? So.
Okay, boys. Good Thanksgiving week to you, too. Thank you.
All right, you're the best. Thank you, Bruce. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, let's see. A couple of scores. Still 21-0 Colorado, 14-0 Boise State, 14-0 Minnesota,
Chalk,
and 3-0
huh?
East Carolina.
I mean, we got to go to the MAC where there's a little upset brewing, huh? That's about it. Because with Miami O on the road, winning by 14-5 at Bowling Green.
They just got in there. Max tells me that the wind is howling in Bowling Green, Kentucky today at somewhere around 30 miles an hour.
Well, who does that favor?
I don't know. I'll bet the under.
Well, under's good. No, that's a good play. I mean, you got under 2 minutes to go, 14-5. So
Yeah.
what would the total go off at?
40 even.
Okay, so you're right at it.
Yeah.
The in-game total is 39.5.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're right there.
Sitting there, I don't know.
Lofton Staffing Services matches hard workers with the most sought-after employers. So, Lofton, you're more than just another employee. We care about your interests. It will match you with a company that needs your skills. You can complete an application. You can schedule an interview. You can even browse jobs at lofton.jobs. Lofton also offers an unlimited $100 referral bonus. Lofton Staffing Services. We've been putting people to work since 1979. Lofton Staffing Services, 924-0200 and lofton.jobs.
Live at Rufino's. Log of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Charles Hannegrift's 5-pack of picks. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Make sure you use Louisiana rice, grown by Louisiana farmers since 1936. Available at most local grocery stores. Supreme Rice.
Chalet, boy, my gumbo, my Supreme Rice, that parboiled rice was a big hit yesterday. Sent EJ off to school with a big old pack of it. Chalet, Indiana plus 10.5. We're up 7-0. Hedge opportunity. Arizona State, boy, they just keep on doing it. Had to hold on, though. God, interesting late. Colorado minus 2.5, never in it against Kansas. Duke plus 3, good win there. Pretty much gate to wire. Straight up win for the Blue Devils. I followed you on that one. Thank you, Charlie. And UCLA was a tough beat late. Tough beat.
I thought it was okay.
Another hedge opportunity. So because they had the lead going in the fourth quarter of play. Charlie, that 2 and 3 makes you 34-30-1. 34-30-1.
Sounds familiar.
Yes, because my 4-1 week has me at 34-30-1. Max surely is ahead of us. Oh, no, he's not. Max is behind, 31-33-1. Get to work, Max.
And his Max, a lot of his Maxion's going off today. This is
Maxion. Max is Maxion.
Boy, there was some stuff I liked today. Georgia Tech I thought is a decent play. Iowa and Nebraska to go over tonight I think is a nice play. Oh yeah, at 39.
A little chilly there. Huh?
It's going to be a little chilly, but the wind's not supposed to be howling or anything.
Okay.
Nebraska, the offense has gotten a jolt since Dana Holgorsen started calling plays a couple of weeks ago. Rayola's looked a little bit better. Almost took Duke again. A 4-point choice at Wake Forest. I think it's good. The last one that didn't make my 5-pack was Baylor. Catching a point at home against Kansas, I like that. There's a lot of
Baylor's playing good, man.
They are. They're playing really well.
Good.
5 straight. But
I'm happy for Aranda. He deserves it.
Yeah.
And look, I can't give him a total pass on that. I know all your attention's on Travis Hunter, but to have nobody in the picture on a Hail Mary is basically the guy's got to catch it below his waist. No, you can't have that.
All right, so I'm going to start off. I kind of gave this one away in the last segment, but UTSA plus the 7. We gave the number out about how teams have been beat up after playing Notre Dame. They're 0-9-1 against the number. Ryan, the quarterback for Army, 39 carries a week ago. UTSA plus the 7 is the choice there. I'm going to take South Carolina plus the 3 against Clemson. Let's keep
3
this
now. Nice. 2.5 all week to 3 now.
Let's keep this real simple. I think South Carolina's better. I mean, forget about spot and rivalry and all this stuff. I just think South Carolina's better. Watching them the last few weeks, that was a hell of a game against Missouri. They dominated Vanderbilt like really nobody's blown Vandy out like they did. They destroyed Texas A&M. They destroyed Oklahoma in Norman, which didn't maybe register all that much at the time, but boy, Alabama sure couldn't get it. Even the losses, to LSU and Alabama were really, really respectable. They had a receiver open in the end zone against Alabama. They have been handled once all season. That was against Ole Miss. I'm going to give them a mulligan there. I love South Carolina in this spot. And they'll keep themselves hanging around if chaos ensues, maybe sneak in to the playoff. They're a long shot, but they're still mathematically alive.
South Cairo?
Yeah.
I think they got a really good shot, Charlie, if they win.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
Could.
Yes, indeed.
They could.
Yes.
They could. Moving forward, we're going to take Auburn in the Iron Bowl. This is not really a fade of Alabama just based on last week. once Auburn stopped turning the ball over at such a huge rate, they've actually been a pretty good team. I think the game at Missouri, of all of the games I've lost this year, that was the one I felt like I was really in position to win the most. They ended up losing that game by 4, and it ended up pushing. And then they thumped Kentucky. They thumped or they beat Texas A&M. The loss to Georgia wasn't even all that bad. Just the points here, once they quit turning the ball over, the offense has moved a little bit. And so I'm going to take them plus the 10.5 against Alabama. I've seen way worse Auburn teams, show out for the Iron Bowl than this one. I'm going to take Missouri plus the 3. With Brady Cook at quarterback, this is a really good team. They really showed me something at South Carolina, even though they lost that game. 20-point win against Mississippi State last week. They won against Oklahoma. They won against Auburn. The game they lost against Alabama, Cook went out. He played in the first quarter, but he really wasn't himself. Got him out. That one got away from him. But at home, I'll take them against a really inconsistent Arkansas team. I like the small number here. We're laying 3. I'll take Mizzou at home. And the one I've been on for a month and got in when the line was more favorable than this, but I still like them. Texas A&M, biggest game maybe in modern history for A&M. It's a chance for them to get into the SEC championship game for the first time. This is their first game against Texas since 2011. Last week's game, I know it went 4 overtimes. It was 20 plays in the overtime, so it's not that it's not quite as bad as you might think as far as the exhaustion. I don't think Texas is that good. We were talking about their schedule since June, basically, or May, whenever it came out. So when they played a decent team, they got it handed to them. I don't think A&M's as good as Georgia, but I think they're better than a lot of the other dregs that Texas has struggled with. Quinn Ewers is nursing a bum ankle. I like A&M on the money line. I'll be honest with you, but I'm going to take the 5 points now. 5 points now with the Aggies. So UTSA plus 7, South Carolina plus 3, Auburn plus 10.5, Missouri minus 3, and A&M Gig'em plus the 5.
Who's Hunt pulling for?
I can't imagine that unless it directly benefited LSU that Hunt would pull for Texas A&M, but I'm not sure.
He's going to pull for Texas?
It's a hard choice, isn't it? I don't know.
Well, why does he pull against A&M? Because A&M
he just hates A&M.
No, because they're a threat. Also, they're you know what I mean. He's not hating on Vandy.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But Texas is more of a threat as a neighboring state than A&M.
Yeah.
This is the one time he's got to pull for A&M.
We should. We should text him and tell him to do that.
He's busy.
He's playing golf.
That's right. He's off. No yell practice. This guy. I mean, come on, man.
The day of Texas,
I thought I'd have 2 hours of A&M Texas. Come on, man.
It's awful. This is awful.
Golly.
Hey, look, it's not often that I pull for Texas A&M. Texas is. I was told this by A&M people. I've got family that went to A&M, and they said, you will hate Texas when they get in your league. Trust me, they will get on your nerves. Within 2 years, you will hate them more than you hate Alabama. And I said, that is absolute nonsense. There's no way they will get to an Alabama level of hate. But I got to tell you, they've made up a hell of a lot of ground in 12 months.
But that's the league's fault.
Yeah.
That's the league's fault.
Well, it's the league's fault with a lot of Alabama crap, too.
But that was atrocious, what they did with that schedule, with them in Oklahoma.
No argument.
Hey, no problem. Hey, you're going to play each other in Dallas. We all want that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The other 7 games, 7 are going to play Oklahoma. The other 7 are going to play Texas. That's fine too. My goodness. Like you have a snake draft, Charlie, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I want to play this team. So Texas gets first pick. They play Vandy. Well, Oklahoma gets the next 2 picks. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't. There's nothing. This was terrible, man.
And
here's very predictable. Very predictable.
Here's something else. If they had put this schedule together 5 years ago or 10 years ago and it just fell this way, because Florida's not nearly as good as they have been, some of their better teams in the past, and they catch them with the backup quarterback, or Kentucky's having their worst season in a decade. But they knew Florida wasn't going to be good this year
so,
when they put this schedule together.
Yes, Charlie. What about your biggest beef with Alabama in their favoritism is the scheduling, right?
Yeah.
That they maintain Auburn and Tennessee.
That it wasn't balanced. Yes.
Well, guess what? At least Auburn and Tennessee are resource rich. They're on the top end, the top half of the resources. At least they're playing. Yes, Tennessee went through their funk, but those are teams that are going to be pretty good. They have reasons to be. It's not Ole Miss and Mississippi State. I'm sorry. The Runch, whatever it is. Tennessee and Auburn are usually going to be better than Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Vandy, Kentucky, South Carolina.
And Florida is usually better than what we've seen this year,
but we
at least
knew,
for most of it.
But
we
yes,
knew that 10 months ago.
You knew in the near future. They did this in June or May or whatever it was.
And their overall schedule, look, Oklahoma was a top 15 preseason team, and they're not good. They're not anywhere near that good. I expected Oklahoma to be better than this. Okay, I'm not telling you I expected them to be top 15, but I expected them to be better than this.
Well, they thought Jackson Arnold, who had looked fine in the bowl game against Arizona. It's Arizona.
Well, they thought he looked good enough to run Dylan Gabriel off.
They nudged him, and if they had Gabriel, they would be better. So. Navy penetrating at half. They're down to the 1 yard line. A loss of 3 on 3rd and goal. So they attempt a field goal from 20 yards. It's wide left.
That's like 3 short field goals missed in that game, huh? Yeah.
It's 2. You have 2. Another goal line stand. So for 4 trips inside the 10, total of 3 points.
So wait, they had 3rd down and goal, and they managed to get a field goal off on 4th down. It's not a given.
Hey, my man, maybe he could go get a haircut on Hard Knocks or something.
He don't have nothing to do now.
No, it's I was kind of busy cooking, or preparing at the time. So I said, wait, what happened?
What happened? You were still preparing at that point?
Yeah, it was late.
We had already finished eating.
I went to go visit my dad.
Yeah.
And so I visited him and I watched pregame and like first quarter and a half with Detroit, and listen, he's suffering from Alzheimer's, dementia, whatever, so he can't grasp everything. But he said one thing that got his attention, because I'm trying to. And Dad, Tulane's having a better season than LSU this year, huh?
Got his attention.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, like, come on, Brian Kelly. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And, of course, Tulane. I mean, what were they doing? They acted. They got sloppy. They got loose. They had bad penalties. They got sloppy. They thought that when you think you're better than they are, and they quit grinding. They quit all the things that they were doing so well this year.
And the vibe in the stadium watching on TV last night felt that way. I mean, maybe it didn't if you were in there, but I've seen that place popping before. One of the best things they've ever done is come into the small quarters, and it wasn't there last night.
No.
It wasn't there.
The Tulane Stadium wasn't popping.
Yeah, but it has been the last couple of years.
I think their team has had just as much to do with it. But and the other thing is, the Navy score is completely misleading. But they're not superior roster, that much superior to Memphis's. Keep in mind, remember the pregame? We were looking in Tallahassee. Memphis, this is the only game they're projected to be underdog. They were projected to be a favorite at Tulane. This might be the only game they're underdog in Tallahassee. And they took care of business in Tallahassee. We didn't know it wasn't a big deal. But you saw those teams. I mean, Memphis has got playmakers as much as Tulane. And
first drive of the game.
The difference was Tulane was better on defense, and they just weren't. But that lack of a little bit of Ole Miss, Kentucky. A little bit of Ole Miss, Kentucky last night, too.
Yeah, we complain sometimes when bad beats don't go away. That one was on me last night. Just absolutely.
You could tell, though, once you saw, this is way too many.
Yes,
but you don't know that before the game.
No, I know.
You don't know what Memphis team is going to show
You'd have been proud
up.
of me. I hedged a little bit back, which I usually don't do.
Oh, no. I am never instructing you to hedge ever again. When I sat there and watched that, I'm like, I'm never putting this man in this position again.
I caught a little bit.
And Mahoney's going.
That one was my fault.
Mahoney's going. He's getting Middletown. You can see it coming right down Broad Street. Don't forget our friends at Los Reyes Mexican Grill. Also, they're the holiday weekend, man, going by. The great thing about Los Reyes is it's happy hour every day, 2:30 to 6:30, Monday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever. 7 days a week over at Los Reyes. I love going to the Queen. This will be my routine tomorrow. Going to the Queen, 11 a.m. to about 5:36 p.m. Go hit Los Reyes on the way home. EJ made sure I got that fajita chicken burrito that he loves with the queso sauce. It's really good stuff. It's affordable. You won't have that sticker shock when you get a few margaritas and in your food. Go by and check out my man Kyle Rogers, Scott, and Miss Blair over at Los Reyes Mexican Grill on Lee, just off of Nicholson, across from Mike Anderson's.
Lock of the Week Friday presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments from Rufino's on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Louisiana farmer since 1936. Available at most local grocery stores. Supreme Rice.
Hardball rice, big hit with my gumbo yesterday. So, key to a good gumbo, that oyster water, Charlie, with your oysters in there as well. Air Force winner last week outright. Kansas State wins. Iowa State was a brutal loss. Pick 6 in the second quarter was the difference. Check out the box score. They should have won by more than 7 in Salt Lake City, but they didn't. Louisville rolled easily, and Minnesota covered and should have, could have won the game. 4-1, 34-30-1. Tried with you, Charlie. So 2 of my best bets, and maybe my 2 best bets, I'm not taking in my 5-pack, but I'll mention them because we just can't. We got to give more to our listening audience who is going to, if we're going to be the only show with a work ethic to work on Black Friday, okay, or our listeners are the most dedicated, I can't just duplicate them. A&M and Missouri, I'm on. That's both of your picks as well, but just a little lanyard there. Yes, indeed, I think this is a pick'em game. A&M in Texas, 7.5. Blew that one. Good job by you, Charlie. Max put me on the Giants plus 3.5 minus money. I got plus 4 at minus 0.5 on the day of the game. Thank you, Max. Appreciate that. Thanks for Gardner Webb. But anyway, they'll cover that up. But then Missouri, it's a short number, and it's based on, it's clearly your boy in the second half of the South Carolina, Cook got going. They scored 24 points against that defense on the road. And then it carried over last week in Starkville as well. Man, with him hurt against Bama, an Auburn stretch, that little stretch, that's a short number at home against Arkansas. I understand Missouri may not, their schedule is favorable, but not that much. So, yes, I'm on Missouri as well. But let's get to my real picks. South Carolina plus 3. That's the one that we are going to duplicate. They're better. Look into the theme, huh? The old theme. Your best win. Who is Clemson's best win? I mean, who is it? It is weak, man.
Pitt?
They have been like the Miami Dolphins. They'll beat up the Raiders and beat up on New England, but they can't beat anybody of substance in South Carolina. And you want to talk about a quarterback who is very inconsistent, who might be maybe a little bit more consistent, and we know how impactful he is on the game. South Carolina with the LSU game. South Carolina plus 3. Lay in big points. I like to stay away from it, but my gosh, 3 years in a row, this is Michigan's worst team. I'm not fooled by that 50-6 win in Northwestern against Northwestern. A lot of it was in the second half. They kind of piled it on against Little Northwestern last week. Ohio State, and I'd say, well, it's going to come down to what Ole Miss. It's just a matter of how bad they want to beat Mississippi State. Ohio State in triple revenge. How many days, Charlie? 1,835, 65, something like that? Ohio State is going to beat Michigan as bad as they want. No letdown for the top 5 win last week. Ohio State minus 19.5. Well, how did Iowa State earlier handle the pressure of being undefeated? How some of the teams last week handled it undefeated? How did Tulane? I mean, Tulane is, they win against Memphis. They win the conference championship game. And Boise State loses at Las Vegas to Nevada, UNLV. Tulane's in the playoff. How'd they handle it?
Not well.
How is SMU handling their situation as well? They had that close win against BC. Again, 3-point game. They scored with less than 30 seconds ago. California, look at all of their losses. They had lost a game about 13 points all year. Cal's built to play to the level of their competition. Cal plus 13.5. Heavy as the crown. the Prince Hole, something like that.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
There you go, Charlie. You better at Shakespeare than me. Baylor plus 1.5. How about Dave Aranda? Huh? Yeah. Good for him. Good for him. You know, we talk about coaches. All right, you had your chance with him. No, this is a good team this year. They are on a roll as of late, and they're catching, all of a sudden, the public team. It's time to flip to the don'ts, Charlie. I mean, we have cashed in on on Kansas, and then the most high profile when you play Colorado. Now they're going to road. Baylor's a home dog. Baylor Bears, and plus the 1.5 in that one. And your team last week, I know, trust me, I understand it could be the little hour, 15-minute trip from Durham to Winston-Salem. I mean, there's no place like Winston-Salem on a Saturday night. But, with their 28,000-seat stadium, they may have 1,200 actual crowd in there. Even a better team here. I don't care if they're playing on the moon. Duke's okay, Manny Diaz, huh? Once a close game,
they're actually pretty good. You were just
not bad.
You just talk about SMU. They should have beat SMU. SMU turned the ball over 6 times that night.
But you shouldn't need. If you get 6 turnovers and you lose, you don't deserve to win.
No, but they could have lost.
No, I mean, it's just that's a weird.
It was a weird game.
It was too much because SMU was winning by 2 touchdowns until they kept coughing it up. So
even Lashley was like, we should have lost this game.
Right. He got a new deal. So, anyway, South Carolina, Ohio State, Cal, Baylor, Duke, and I'm sitting on the side of the A&M. And not sitting on the side, Charlie, that's dual picks, but that's not my official picks because I'm limited to 5. That's what Max tells me. He sets the rules around here.
That's how he won last year, I think.
Set his own rules.
Yeah.
Yes. Kind of like in the second day of the club championship at the Island, huh?
Oh, that was a bad day.
What, Max? You got something to say?
The wind was blowing.
No.
Wind? Come on, weather boy.
The wind was blowing.
I got my coffee, Charlie. We're back.
Good thing.
Boy, Macero.
Show's almost over.
What's up, Stu? There you go. Parboiled rice, baby. That chicken sausage gumbo with the oysters. Yes, indeed. Don't forget our friends at the Queen Casino. It is Football Sunday. We're back at the Queen this Sunday. I'll be there all weekend long. Yes, indeed. Junior's back on the road to Tuscaloosa. I am going to hunker down at the Queen. Looking forward to it. Come see us at the Queen Football Sunday, 10 a.m. to noon, right here, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lock of the Week Friday presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Rufino's. All right, Max, you got a little ground to make up.
Yes, I do.
Trailing us by 3.5 games, I guess it is.
I think so, something like that.
Yeah, all right.
I'm going to start off with Baylor, 11 a.m. game tomorrow. I think Kansas is getting overvalued a little bit. Road favorite here. I know they've done great. They've covered 5 in a row, but so has Baylor. I swore them off. They were on my Terminex do not bet list that Holden Mayo puts out after a couple bad beats with Baylor, but I'm back on them. I'm going to take the Bears, who have an outside shot at the Big 12 title game. Michigan, Ohio State, over 42.5. This game always tends to be higher scoring. It's gone over in 10 matchups in a row. And as you mentioned, Jimmy, Ohio State, they're going to put up as many points as they want to. They want to really shove Michigan into a locker in this game. Tennessee, Vanderbilt, I'm also going with the total here. I'm going to take the under 48.5. Vanderbilt 5-0-1 to the under in their last 6 games. They slow the game down. They're going to want to run this clock out. You saw them really struggle to get any offense going against LSU last week. And Tennessee struggled in SEC play as well to garner offense. So I think this is a low-scoring game. Tennessee escapes. And then I'm going to follow you all as well. Texas A&M +5 against Texas. I just don't think Texas is ready. They've been untested, and their offense just doesn't wow me. I'm worried about Quinn Ewers' ankle injury, which was definitely a factor in the game last week. But my lock of the week is actually today. It's coming up at 2:30. South Alabama +1.5 against Texas State. Texas State is underwhelmed. They were a team that was figured to be in the mix for this last playoff spot for the Group of 5 schools, but they have underwhelmed. 6-5 now for the season. They lost as a 24-point favorite last week to Georgia State. They're going in the opposite direction. South Alabama can get into the Sun Belt title game with a win here and a ULL loss. So I'll take the plus 1.5 today with the Jaguars.
You know, we talk about some of the Oklahoma States and the Utahs and stuff like that, but yeah, Texas State, Memphis, and Liberty have been some teams on the lower end that were considered to be, real players for that last spot.
Come on in and get your gift cards here all day here on Black Friday with a 50% bonus card available for you all day. Monday we're at Walk-Ons in Brewley. Have a great weekend, everybody. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
All right, Jordan, thank you. Thibodaux store in Thibodaux, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux. The big Black Friday sale is going on right now. So many different things that you can get Dad for Christmas. Power tools, hand tools, rolling tool kits, and the unique Cypress furniture that they've got there that you can't get anywhere else. The porch swings, the gliders, the custom-made crawfish pots and jambalaya pots. Huge selection of grills available there. And you can go to ThibodauxStore.com and arrange for delivery, so your shopping is easy. Big discounts all the way through the end of the day here on Black Friday. So go to ThibodauxStore.com, or if you're visiting the facility in person, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux.